អង្គុយចុះ អង្គជំនួយជម្រះប្រកាសបន្តកិច្ចដំណើរការនីតិវិធីសកម្មភាពនេះអង្គជំរះបានជម្រាបជូនភាគីនិងសាធារណជនរួចហើយគឺជាសកម្មភាពការដាក់បង្ហាញឯកសារផុសតាងគន្លឹះនានាពាក់ព័ន្ធទៅនឹងទួលនីតិរបស់ជនជាប់ចោតដែលនៅក្នុងឡុងពេលនេះនឹងដាក់ឡើងដោយតំណាងសហប្រញ្ញាហើយនឹងការធ្វើអត្ថាធិប្បាយឬការជំទាស់និងការឆ្លើយតបទៅនឹងការជំទាស់របស់ភាគីនានាពាក់ព័ន្ធទៅនឹងវិធានបទនេះហើយមុននឹងផ្ដល់វេទិកាជូនទៅតំណាងសហប្រញ្ញាលោកស្រីសែកុលវិធីឡើងរាយការណ៍អំពីស្ថានភាពវត្តមានភាគីដែលអង្គជំរះក៏អញ្ជើញឲ្យចូលរួមនៅក្នុងកិច្ចដំណើរការសកម្មភាពនេះ
សូមគោរពលោកប្រធានសម្រាប់សកម្មភាពថ្ងៃនេះគ្រប់ភាគីទាំងអស់នៃរឿងក្តីនេះមានវត្តមានលើកលែងតែលោក Michael Canavas មេធាវីអន្តរជាតិការពារក្តីឲ្យលោកអ៊ីងសេរីអវត្តមានដោយមូលហេតុសុខភាពជនជាប់ចោតអ៊ីងសេរីមានវត្តមាននៅបន្ទប់ឃុំខ្លួនខាងក្រោមសាលសកម្មភាពដោយមូលហេតុសុខភាពរីឯជនជាប់ចោតនួនជាអវត្តមានដោយមូលហេតុសុខភាពនិងកំពុងសម្រាកព្យាបាលនៅមន្ទីរពេទ្យមិត្តភាពខ្មែរសូវៀតប៉ុន្តែជនជាប់ចោតបានដាក់នៅលិខិតលះបង់សិទ្ធិមានវត្តមាននៅក្នុងកិច្ចដំណើរការសកម្មភាពលើឯកសារនេះឯកសារលេខ E258/2 ហើយជនជាប់ចោតខៀវសំផនអវត្តមានដោយមូលហេតុសុខភាពប៉ុន្តែកាលពីម្សិលមិញនេះជនជាប់ចោតបានស្នើសុំតាមរយៈមេធាវីរបស់ខ្លួនក្នុងការ
Yesterday he through his counsel's request to waive his presence during the proceeding today. The President, thank you, Mrs. Saikolwati. Concerning the absence of Mr. Nunchia, the Chamber still upholds its decision. Mr. Nunchia, rather the decision has already been made at the beginning of the hearing, and the Chamber notes his health concerns and also notes that he is still being admitted to the hospital. Mr. Kyosompon, as to this case, the Chamber wishes to recall the parties, the document, the public document that issued before the hearing session yesterday. At the conclusion of the hearing on the 29th of January 2013, the Kyosompon defense indicated the accused's willingness to waive his presence during the presentation of documents considered most relevant to ascertaining the truth in case 001/01. The Chamber emphasizes the importance of the key documents hearing, the potential for inculpatory evidence to be discussed, and the consequent desirability of having the accused present during the presentation of documents related to the accused. The Chamber, however, notes the accused only recently returned to the ECCC detention facility after being admitted to the Khmer Soviet Friendship Hospital and that he remains weak. The Chamber in consequence grants the accused's request in part and permits his absence from the proceedings during the presentation of documents relevant to the accused Ieng Sary and Noon Chia. However, the accused Keo Sampon is ordered to be present during the presentation of the documents relevant to his own conduct. The co-prosecutors have indicated that they will present key documents related to Keo Sampon on the afternoon of Wednesday, the 30th of January, and the morning of Thursday, 31st of January. The Chamber therefore orders the accused to participate in these sessions from the ECCC holding cell. Next, we would like to hand over to the co-prosecutors for this. The presentation of the co-prosecutor is relevant to the roles of the accused. The Chamber notes Mr. Kong Som-on is on his feet. He may proceed. Counsel Kong Som-on. Thank you, Mr. President. Before co-prosecutors to present the documents concerning the key roles of the accused, may we ask that the co-prosecutors be instructed to send or submit all the list of the documents to be presented during the proceedings to the defense counsels. We know that there are a lot of documents to be presented and we perhaps have no time to read them all, but it would be of great assistance if the co-prosecutors can do so, Your Honors. We are grateful. The President, co-prosecutors, could you also advise the Chamber on this?
Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Gallery and Council. Your Honours, we would be happy to provide lists to the defence. Our difficulty has been, as you know, because of the fairly short scheduling, people have been working late to work out what those, what best documents could illustrate the cases. So we will provide them as soon as possible. This is, Your Honour, this is for the list of documents, is that right?
The President, yes indeed, it is the list of the documents the co-prosecutors wish to present during these sessions. We hope that's answered Council's question. Counsel for Mr. Ieng Sari, you may now proceed. Counsel Ang Adam. Good morning, Mr. President and Your Honors. Good morning to everyone in and around the courtroom. Yesterday, the co-prosecutors indicated that they were ready to present the documents, and we have been waiting for the list of the documents to be delivered to us. We have not received it yet. We also note that the co-prosecutors stated that they could have been doing their best to make sure that the defense be offered the documents, but they should have been prepared. And as parties to the proceedings, they should be well prepared to know what kind of documents to be presented and to be shared with the learned colleagues, because we, as the defense counsels, may need some time to also review the documents and consult with our client respectively concerning what we are going to do with the documents. Unfortunately, the documents are going to be presented although we have not been well informed. The Chamber wishes to hand over to Judge Cartwright to respond to the remark made by Counsel for Mr. Ingsari.
Thank you, President. The Chamber does not accept the objections made by National Council for the Kyo Sampan and Ieng Sari's teams. The prosecutor has indicated that he has done his best, and at the last segment of this document hearing, it was obvious to the Chamber that the prosecutors and the Ieng Sari team were the only ones prepared for the document hearing, and the Chamber considers first that it is inappropriate to criticise the prosecutor when teams themselves have not been prepared to the limits of their ability given the disadvantages that each team has encountered. And secondly, all documents are on the case file and the parties must be able to follow reasonably expeditiously everything that the prosecutor does. So the objections are not sustained. Thank you.
The President. Council, do you have any new issue to raise? If it is the same issue, you are not allowed to raise it again because it has already ruled upon. But if it is a new issue, you may do so. You may proceed. Council, Mr. President, I would like to correct myself. I did not mean to object against the document presentation. It is my pure observation concerning this presentation. I have no objection in respect to the document presentation. The President. Mr. Prosecutor, you may proceed. Mr. Chandararasmai. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Your Honors. Good morning to everyone in the courtroom and member of the public in the gallery. This morning, I am going to present some of the key documents concerning the role and responsibility of Mr. Ieng Sari. He held during the period of the Democratic Cambodia, as well as during the period when the Communist Party of Cambodia ruled Cambodia. And I would like to present some of those key documents in order as follows. The prosecutor will make use of the time allocated by the Chamber to present 29 documents and 8 video clips, which evidence the roles of Mr. Kyo Sampan, rather Mr. Ieng Sari, when he was in power. This document will reveal to the public as well as the court the various evidence concerning the activities of the Democratic Cambodia under the jurisdiction of this tribunal. And this document will be presented in order, and it will take us 2 to 3 days to present these documents and video clips. And the documents and video clips we are going to present are the key documents which reveal the various activities, speeches, and other statements made by Mr. Ieng Sari. And we will also bring to the attention of the Chamber telegrams as well as minutes of the meeting. And we are going to present the compilation of those documents in a compendium in sequential orders. And these documents will be presented in chronological order so that we will be able to show to the court and the public the truth of what happened during the Democratic Cambodia period. When I say the Democratic Cambodia period, we also mention some preceding activities that Mr. Ieng Sary did before the Democratic Cambodia leadership took power. And as for the key evidence that we are going to present, we are going to select only a few documents, and then I will hand over to Mr. William Smith, who will present additional documents. And I believe that the evidence that we are going to present, both the documentary evidence as well as the video clip, will assist the court to ascertain the truth. And the prosecutor will also will not present the testimony of witnesses or experts for this presentation. And I would like to seek leave from the chamber to for Mr. William Smith to present these document and video clips. May I ask your leave, Mr. President, so that my colleagues can present these documents and video clips. The President, yes, International Prosecutor, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your Honours, as my colleague has just mentioned, we'll be presenting 4 types of documents. The first type will be documents in relation to Ieng Sary's connection to the CPK as an ordinary member. Secondly, we'll present documents that are connected to Ieng Sary in his role as a standing committee member. And third, documents would be presented in connection to his role as the Minister of Foreign Affairs. And finally, a group of documents will be interviews with the accused in relation to his role, both shortly before, during the period, the Democratic Kampuchea period, and afterwards. And if I can begin with the first document, it is in fact a few agreed facts that were agreed to by Mr. Ieng Sary at the beginning of this trial. To understand his role during the period, those facts as to his activities prior to 1975 are essential to understanding the documents and how they related to him during the CPK period. Your Honours, if I can refer to E9/21.3, that's Annex A, that's E00656964 to 81. This is a copy of the indictment paragraphs, and they were sent to Mr. Ieng Sary and his defence team, and they highlighted the facts in relation to his role prior to 1975 that he agreed with some short commentary on a few facts which he disagreed. If we look at paragraph 995 of the indictment, Mr. Ieng Sary has agreed that in 1950 he moved to Paris to study. At paragraph 996, he agreed he returned to Phnom Penh in 1957. He agreed he was a professor of history and geography at Kampuchea Bot Private High School until he went into hiding in 1963. He agreed that in 1960 he participated in the first party congress of the Workers' Party of Kampuchea, the new name for the KPRP. He was a member of the Central Committee and was made a full rights member of the Standing Committee at that time. He agreed that in April 1963 after being named by Sihanouk as one of the 34 known leftists, he fled to the Vietnamese border around the same time as Sun Sen to join Pol Pot. He agreed in 1966. He and other members of the CPK moved to Ratnakiri in the northeast, where a new Central Committee headquarters was established, and Yang Sari then became the Northeast Zone Secretary. In 1970, Yang Sari travelled to Hanoi, where he organised the Voice of Funk radio station, then managed by Yang Tarit from Hanoi. Yang Sari flew to Beijing to liaise with the Chinese Communist Party. From 1971, he was given a permanent base in Beijing. He concurrently became Special Envoy of the Internal Resistance in Beijing and was placed in charge of relations with Norodom Sihanouk. He agreed that during this period he returned to Cambodia twice, once in 1973 when he accompanied Norodom Sihanouk to visit the liberated zones, and again in 1974. He returned to Cambodia permanently in April 1975. That's at paragraph 999 of the indictment. He also agreed that during the CPK regime, he used the revolutionary alias of Van. Your Honours, I would now ask that we show a video. It's E/2348R. Now, this video depicts the meeting or records the meeting of Norodom Sihanouk and Yang Sari with the other leaders of the CPK, including Pol Pot, Khieu Samphan, Hugh Nim, in the liberated zone, and including a visit to Angkor Wat in March 1973. This is the visit that he has agreed to in the agreed facts. At the same time that the video is being played, Pol Pot is narrating about how he became the leader of the party. It's 1 minute and 35 seconds, and with Your Honour's leave, I would ask that that be played.
The President, you may proceed. AV technician, please play this video clip as per the request by the prosecutor. It was my character since I was young. I did not speak much. Another author interviewed Mr. Jacques Vexès, and Vexès told this author that Vexès had known me for about 20 to 30 years, and according to him, I was a young man who was polite, discreet, and cheerful. I did not want to appear as a leader. And friends asked me about my past. But I told them that firstly I worked a great deal, and then fortune played a major part in my life, such as when I became the secretary of the party. There was no one else, so they gave me the job. I said I did not want the position.
Thank you, Your Honour. Your Honours obviously saw Yang Sari in that video clip with the other leaders. Turning back to the facts agreed by Yang Sari, at paragraph 33, he agreed, as of the 17th of April, the CPK was governed by a statute which had been initially adopted at the party's first Congress in September 1960. At paragraph 20, he agreed that the 1960 Congress, at which the KPRP became a workers' party, the real starting point of the Cambodian communist movement. He agreed in paragraph 35 that both the Central Committee and the Standing Committee were comprised of full rights and candidate or reserve members. Candidate status was a lower ranking than full rights. He then agreed a candidate member was allowed to participate in meetings without the right of decision-making. Paragraph 42, he agreed that Pol Pot was the highest authority in the CPK as a secretary of the Standing Committee. He agreed that to talk to Pol Pot was the same as talking to the party. At paragraph 43, he agreed Nguyen Chia was second in the Standing Committee hierarchy, followed by Ta Mok. He agreed in Pol Pot's absence, Nguyen Chia would preside over meetings of the Standing Committee. At paragraph 22, he agreed after the disappearance in 1962 of the Secretary of the Workers' Party, To Samut, whose disappearance was never elucidated, a second party congress was held in late February 1963. Salosar became the new secretary and Nguyen Chia became deputy secretary. This congress was held in Phnom Penh and the participants were again a small group that included Yang Sari and Sao Pim, both of whom were elected full rights members of the Standing Committee. Ta Mok, Vaughan Vet and Rus Nung. A few months later, after the government published a list of 34 known leftists, Pol Pot and a number of the other named party leaders, including Yang Sari and Sun Sen, fled the capital. They took refuge at a Vietnamese base on the border, where they later established an office known as Office 100. He agreed by 1965 they were joined by their spouses, Q Ponnery, Yung Tarit and Yun Yat. Nguyen Chia, whose identity had remained secret and hence was not on the list of 34, stayed in Phnom Penh and assumed responsibility for party operations in the capital and most of the zones. He agreed at paragraph 23 that in 1967 several party leaders agreed to launch a general uprising in 1968. He agreed a Central Committee headquarters, also called Office 100, was relocated to Ratnakiri, a few kilometres away from Office 102, the northeast zone office used by Yang Sari, who had been appointed zone secretary. Your Honours will note on the screen where there's a yellow comment bubble, that's where the Yang Sari has disagreed and put in an alternative word, and I'm reading in the word that was agreed by him. At paragraph 25, on the 18th of March 1970, he agreed that Prince Norodom Sihanouk was overthrown by General Lon Nol and Prince Sirik Matak, who established a regime which was later called the Khmer Republic. On the 23rd of March 1970, Sihanouk announced the formation of the National United Front of Kampuchea and called on his countrymen to rise up against the new government. At paragraph 27, he agreed he went to Hanoi in early 1991 to organise the radio, the Voice of Funk, which was placed under the authority and control of Ieng Tarit until May 1975. Whereafter, in April 1971, he travelled to Beijing to serve as a special emissary of the resistance movement. At his villa in Beijing, Ieng Sary had a direct telegraph link to Office 100. The existence of the Communist Party of Kampuchea was not officially announced until September 1977. That's what he agreed to at paragraph 18. Your Honour, they are the agreed facts that in relation to the role of Ieng Sary prior to 1975, and I think they're particularly relevant in understanding what positions he took up once the CPK gained power and the extent and scope of those roles. Your Honour, the next document I would like to refer to is E3/214. This is the statute of the Communist Party of Kampuchea of 1976. Your Honours have heard evidence that the statute came into existence from 1960 and changes were made over time. But bearing in mind the statute's early origins, in proceeding in a chronological format, I think it's appropriate to discuss this document now. Your Honour, this document is highly probative evidence of the functions of the party and its members. The statute legislates on the purpose of the party, its organisational structure and responsibilities, its organisational principles, the rights and duties of party members, party discipline and criteria for party leadership positions, amongst other matters. To assist in understanding Ieng Sary's role during the DK period, there are a number of provisions that are particularly relevant. If I can direct Your Honours to ERN 00184024, Khmer 00053009. This is the commencement of the statute, where it lays out the fundamental principles and political stances of the party during the new era of socialist revolution and the construction of socialism. If we move down to page 2 of the Khmer, under this section, it briefly states the goals of the party. The current new strategic principles and stances of the Communist Party, after totally and permanently achieving the national democratic revolution and after having taken major strides in socialist revolution, is to continue to make and to achieve socialist revolution in Kampuchea and to move forward towards communism in Kampuchea in the future. In this historical framework, the Communist Party of Kampuchea must defend the results of the revolution and defend and construct the country as well. The party arms itself with and holds correct and strong proletarian worldviews and life views, absolutely struggles against non-proletarian worldviews and life views, and opposes the revolution of the petty bourgeoisie, the capitalists, the feudalists, the imperialists, and all reactionaries. Following these stances, the Communist Party of Kampuchea absolutely fights and opposes idealism, experimentalism, dogmatism, and liberalism. As Your Honours would note, this statute has very similar rhetoric in the principal section as in other sections relating to party members. So I would now like to turn to Article 2. Or perhaps before I do that, I would like to refer to the last two paragraphs of fundamental principles at paragraph 6, at page 6 and 7 of the Khmer, and read, "The Communist Party of Kampuchea clearly understands its extremely heavy task, its highest task. Every member of our party must strive to build and to consolidate the internal solidarity and unity of the party to make it stronger politically, ideologically and organisationally at all times, and must always be on the offensive, forging himself in the heat constantly, always agitating, attacking and pushing constantly inside the great, hot and deep revolutionary movement of the popular masses and the worker peasants, in the unions and cooperatives and the revolutionary army, making socialist revolution and constructing socialism successfully as quickly as possible, keeping on moving forward towards communism in our most beloved Kampuchea, and through this making an important contribution inside the world revolutionary movement." Your Honours, now moving to the duties of a member of the party, the duties that people took up when they joined the party, that starts to outline and fill out, perhaps, the roles of any party member in the CPK, and in particular, of course, Yang Sari and the other accused. If we look at Article 2, where it states the duty of party members, it states every party member has the following duties. Duties among the popular masses: to proselytise the popular masses on party politics, ideology and organisation, and mingle closely with the popular masses, the worker peasants, in the unions and cooperatives and the revolutionary army. Must be highly responsible to the popular masses, serve the popular masses with all the heart and unconditionally, be polite with the popular masses and strive to learn from the popular masses. B, agitate the popular mass movement, especially the worker, peasant, popular masses in the unions and the cooperatives, and always be connected with the tasks of national defence and building democratic Kampuchea in the direction of socialist revolution and building socialism. It then states the internal duties of the party member. A, have a life inside a party branch organisation regularly once monthly. Every party member, no matter how high his duty, even all the way up to the highest, must be in a party branch and have a regular branch life. B, respect party organisational discipline unconditionally with the highest awareness. C, always strive to build party political, ideological and organisational stances, to absorb them ever more firmly in order to implement the party politics, ideology and organisation ever better and ever more efficiently. D, always and absolutely strive well and closely to consolidate internal party solidarity and unity. And E, always and absolutely strive to maintain party secrecy with the high stance of revolutionary vigilance. And F, strive to implement the regime of criticism and self-criticism, the regime of inspection of revolutionary life, views properly, carefully and actively in order to build oneself and the internal party as good examples. And always actively fight in the work of national defence and building the country of democratic Kampuchea according to the party's direction of socialist revolution and building socialism. and must have solid principles and stances of proletarian patriotism and proletarian internationalism. H. Strive to study culture, technology, science in order to increase capabilities to serve the work of the national defence and national construction of democratic Kampuchea in the direction of the socialist revolution and the building of socialism ever better, ever more efficiently. Article 3 deals with the rights of party members, which also relates to the role of Yang Sari. Every full rights party member has the following rights: to consider and discuss and join in decision-making on all party affairs, doing this according to the principle of democratic centralism. If we look at Article 4, party discipline, it states, in order to maintain and to consolidate internal party solidarity and unity to be always good, the party has designated and raised the principle of respect for party discipline and organisation. Party discipline is very firm, but stands on the principle of awareness of each individual party member. Each party member, regardless of position, must absolutely respect and follow party discipline. Respecting party discipline and organisation is respecting the party political line, party ideological principles and stances, party ideological organisational stances, and party statutes. 2. Any party member or any party echelon opposing the party political line, party ideological stances, party organisational stances, and party statute causes fractures in internal party solidarity and unity, creates groups to carry out activities to destroy the party, the revolution and the people, abandons the duty of the party member, causes a break in secrecy, endangers the party, the revolution and the people and party property, acts immorally, or does not participate in branch lifestyle meetings for 3 consecutive months, commits party discipline violations which are punishable lightly or severely as follows. A criticism or warning. B, a change of duties, removal from duty. C, rejection from the party. Various punishments according to whether the violations were activities opposing the party, part of a continuous chain of such violations, or was treason against the party. Implementation of party discipline is done through detailed examination, analysis and deliberation, standing on the principle of absolute collectivity. To further understand Yang Sari's role and the other accused, if we look at Article 7, particularly in relation to Yang Sari, it sets up the structure of the party and the way in which it would organise itself. And I'll just read the first part. It states, Article 7, party organisational lines are as follows. Second part, paragraph 1, during the period of time between during the period of time between one general conference to the other, the highest operational unit throughout the country is the Central Committee. Your Honours, I won't read that down further. As we all can see, it relates to the structure, administrative structure that was in existence at the time or legislated for. But the important point was the Central Committee was the highest operational unit throughout the country. If then we move to the Central Committee tasks, and the reason why I do this, of course, is that Yang Sari admits that he was on the Central Committee and the Standing Committee, in fact, which we'll talk about later. Article 23 established the task of the Central Committee, which relates to the role of Yang Sari. The tasks of the Central Committee are implement the party political line and statute throughout the party, instruct all zone and sector city organisations and party organisationals responsible for various matters to carry out activities according to the political line and ideological and organisational principles and stances in accordance with the tasks of national defence and building democratic Cambodia and in accordance with the party direction of socialist revolution and building socialism. 3. Govern and arrange cadres and party members throughout the entire party, along with all core organisations, by constantly, clearly and closely arming them clearly and closely grasping personal histories, political, ideological and organisational stances, and closely and constantly arming them politically, ideologically and organisationally. Act in the name of the party in contacts with all brother, sister, Marxist, Leninist parties. Article 9 and 10 is particularly relevant to Yang Sari in terms of his roles and responsibilities, and that Article 9 relates to branches, and it states every revolutionary cooperative, factory, military company level unit, worksite and ministry office may organise a party branch provided there are 3 or more party members. I'll now go down to the tasks of the party branch at Article 10, and you can see those tasks are very similar to the duties that an individual member has to the party in terms of converting the popular masses to the revolutionary ideas and agitate popular masses for revolution. Very similar wordings in the statute, so I won't read that again. But the reason why I mention it, because it adds an extra level of responsibility for an individual running a party branch and extra tasks. And if we look at Article 6, organisational principles of the party, that article, in fact, assists in understanding the role of Yang Sari and the other accused, because it relates to how decision-making should be done, and it relates to how reporting should happen and how it should happen. If we look at Article 5, organisational principles of the party, it's Article 6, it states the Communist Party of Kampuchea takes the principle of democratic centralism as its organisational foundation. That is, all party leadership organisations must implement collective leadership and have specific persons holding responsibility. All the various decisions of the party must be made collectively. All echelons of party leadership organisations must be collectively appointed. In relation to reporting up and down echelons, 6.4 states, sorry, I haven't got to that yet, but in relation to decision-making, the minority respects the majority, lower echelon respects upper echelon, the individual respects the collective, the private respects the organisation, and the various echelon organisations respect the central organisation. At the designated times, the lower echelon must report to the upper echelon on the situation and on work done. Also, at each designated time, the upper echelon must report to the lower echelon regarding the general situation and regarding instructions which they may carry out, which they must carry out. That clearly defines the supervisory, reporting, monitoring responsibilities of a Communist Party member, and particularly a member in the central organisation. And it clearly stipulates that decisions must be made collectively at each particular echelon level. That, Your Honour, we believe is highly relevant to Yang Sari's role on the Standing Committee, the Central Committee, and as Minister of Foreign Affairs that has CPK branches within it. The last article I'll refer to before I move on is just briefly Chapter 2, Article 5. It states there's 10 criteria for selection into the various party leadership organisations. And those criteria seem to be criteria that requires a stronger determination or a stronger stance than the regular members in order to participate in a leadership organisation. You see at 1, it states the criteria for leadership: you must have a strong revolutionary stance on the party line. 2, you must have a strong party revolutionary stance on proletarian ideology. 3, a senior leader must have a strong revolutionary stance on internal party solidarity and unity. 4, a strong revolutionary stance on the lines of organisation, leadership and work of the party. And 5, a strong revolutionary stance on revolutionary vigilance, maintaining secrecy and defending revolutionary forces. A strong revolutionary stance on independence, mastery, self-reliance and self-mastery at 6. At 7, a strong revolutionary stance in making and examining personal histories and revolutionary life views. 8, a strong revolutionary stance on class. 9, a strong revolutionary stance on clean life, morals and politically clean. And 10, the capability to build oneself and be receptive to future leadership. Your Honour, to conclude, on this document, the statute provides compelling evidence that party members in their respective positions within the party were obligated to continue to defend and make a socialist revolution. To achieve this, members were required to convert the population to this political ideology and agitate the population to participate in the revolution. Within the party, the statute required them to participate in criticism and self-criticism sessions, respect party discipline, build their ideological stance in line with the party, strive for party unity and solidarity, and maintain secrecy with vigilance. The statute, in summary, at the level of senior leadership, created obligations and duties that were more onerous. At the highest administrative level, as identified in the statute, the Central Committee had the most responsibility to ensure that the political line was implemented throughout the country. Taken in its entirety, this statute legislates a behavioural template for which party members had to work in both their private and public lives during the DK period. This document, therefore, is central to understanding the role and behaviour of Yang Sari and the other accused during the period. Your Honour, if I now move to the next document, and particularly E3/597, which is an interview with Yang Sari entitled Interview with the Cambodian Revolutionary, which was reported in Le Monde newspaper on the 15th of January 1972. In the interview, amongst other matters relating to military and political developments by the United National Front in Cambodia, Yang Sari provides evidence of the extent of his role before 75 in the communist movement. His views on the United States and the CPK practice and importance of working with the population and organising power through a disciplined hierarchy through committees at different levels. At Khmer 00744036 and at French 00722245 and at English in 00003963, he was asked, how practically do you organise the power of the people? In the vast liberated zone, we've applied the FUNK program. It rests on the principle by which the people are the source of all power at all administrative levels, from hamlets, villages, districts, provinces. Committees are functioning as the state apparatus. Further down at Khmer 00744036, he states each task is simplified to the maximum at each echelon. The number of functionaries is kept low to assure a disciplined political force among the people. Our cadres go into the villages to live with the people and direct the task of political, cultural and military education. They take part in production without receiving any pay and live frugally. In relation to the extent of his work or the extent of his role as he entered into the DK period as Standing Committee member, he answers this question. A people's war isn't improvised. Now yours must have begun very recently. What stage of organisation have you reached? Since 1951, we have followed step by step the criminal actions of American imperialism and its Cambodian servants. We have learned to understand the nature of this imperialism, which we have always fought, and whose intrigues have tended towards destruction of the independence and neutrality of Cambodia in order to transform her into a base for American aggression against the countries of Southeast Asia and China. We had for a long time foreseen the coup d'etat. We view that the evolution of the situation in Cambodia and South Vietnam would inevitably lead American imperialism and the Phnom Penh clique to commit the heinous crime of March the 18th, 1970. In developing this analysis, we have over a long period carried out intense political work among the people so they could understand the profound nature of imperialism and its servants. Thus, long before the coup d'etat, we had achieved the political mobilisation of the masses with a view to leading a long-term war of resistance. So on the whole, our people weren't totally surprised by the events of 1970. These last 20 years of struggle against French colonialism and American imperialism have taught our people that in order to make the revolution triumph, it's indispensable to have at each echelon a guiding core composed of men firm in the principles of our political line and who know how to apply them in a creative way in concrete national conditions with very precise objectives. These men must be tightly bound to the people. The struggle must rely firmly on the most hard-working of the masses, the workers and the peasants. Your Honours, if I move to the next document, E3597, this is one other extract that I submit, puts young Sari's role in context in terms of his beliefs as he enters into the CPK, the DK period in 1975. Your Honour, the document is E3/11, and it's an interview with Yang Sari published in the Vietnam Courier on the 31st of January 1972. And he answers questions about the progress of the Funk and Grunk resistance movement in Cambodia, with particular reference to agricultural reforms in liberated areas. These statements, Your Honours, provide insight at the time as to how people and land would be used if a full socialist revolution was achieved by the CPK. If I can take Your Honours to Khmer ERN 0071 1428 to 29 and English 0076 2415 to 16 and French 0073 8624. This is how he responded to this question. Insofar as the peasantry is concerned, have you carried out democratic reforms, chiefly regarding land? Sub-question, how is agricultural production organised? The agrarian problem is of paramount importance. We have taken many democratic measures to mobilise the poor peasants, the main force of our resistance, to free them from old social structures and raise production. The land owned by the traitors, totalling several thousand hectares, has been confiscated and become the excuse me, I've just lost and become sorry, I've just lost my page, right? And become the common of the people's power, or distributed to lackland peasants according to local conditions. The land whose owners are absent for reason other than treason has been temporarily entrusted to the people's power to be either farmed by the state or, if not, distributed to lackland peasants for a given period or rented to them. Part of the proceeds from the state-tilled land is laid aside for its owners in consideration of their political attitude towards the resistance war waged by Funk. Fellow land of proprietors taking part in the resistance are cultivated by lackland peasants against payment of a small rent. With regard to virgin land having no owners, is farmed by poor peasants. On the whole, the land rents, which exceed even 50% of the production cost, have been sharply cut. The interest rates, which surpassed even 50 to 60% per year, are forbidden. To bring to fruition that agrarian policy in accordance with the Funk political program we are carrying out, intensive agitation work among the peasants, rich and poor, in order to drive home to them that policy for its strict implementation. Those who eagerly apply it are staunch fighters in our war for national salvation. The organisation of all the peasants who approve the agrarian reform into a patriotic peasants' association. We have encouraged the establishment of producers, cooperatives and consumers cooperatives to eliminate middlemen. In agricultural production, the mutual aid movement has been largely expanded among the peasants. In each FUNC committee at all administrative levels, a responsible cadre is appointed to see the development of production whose main objective is to cater for our resistance. Parallel to political education and the mutual aid movement, the peasants have been endeavouring to improve 2 rice crops per year. In anticipation of a prolonged war, we attach great importance to subsidiary crops and the rearing of pigs and poultry. Your Honour, I would now like to move to 1975, and by doing so, I would ask that we play a video which is E3/3051R. Your Honour, this is a video footage showing Pol Pot, Nguyen Chia, Yang Sari, Sun Sen and other leaders of the CPK leading a rally at the Olympic Stadium with thousands of cadre in attendance and tens of thousands of others. The video we submit demonstrates the power and authority of Yang Sari and the other leaders possessed as a group. Your Honour, the exact date of this footage is not known, so it could have occurred at any point during the DK period, but it's certainly reflective of a number of those rallies that we've heard about in evidence. So, Your Honour, I'd seek leave to be able to play that. It's 4 minutes and 12 seconds.
President, you may proceed. AVPU's officers are now instructed to ensure that the video clip is now put up on the screen.
Just to be clear, Your Honour, this video has no sound. So. Thank you, Your Honour. Your Honour, the next document would be, or video, would be of 5 minutes and 32 seconds, and that relates a bit more to Yang Sari's role as Minister of Foreign Affairs, albeit they can't really be split. If Your Honour would like to see that video before the break, or shall we break now? Your Honour, the document number is E3/3201R, and it demonstrates Yang Sari's role with international delegations in matters relating to significant state affairs such as relationships with Vietnam. This is a video of a Vietnamese delegation, and we do know the date of this. This is on 27th of July 1975. It's from a document entitled Socialist Republic of Vietnam, of a visit by a Vietnamese delegation to Cambodia. It shows the Vietnamese delegation arriving, meeting, touring and dining with Yang Sari, Pol Pot, Nguyen Chia, Khieu Samphan, Von Vet and others around that date. The point we would like to note is that what seems to be from this and other videos that will be shown is that when international delegations came, the Central Committee or the Standing Committee seemed to meet together with them. If we can play that video, Your Honour, with your leave.
The President, you may proceed. Every post officials are now directed to play back this video clip as requested by the co-prosecutor.
And Your Honour, I should have mentioned this one does have sound.
Comrade Salazar, who was a secretary of CPK, along with the other numerous comrades leading the party and state work, arrived at Po Chan Thong Airport, waiting for welcome to the Vietnamese Labour Party delegates with closely friendship, solidarity, and warmest fraternity. This is the first visit of senior delegates of the Vietnamese Labour Party to Cambodia since Cambodia was totally liberated. There were thousands of Cambodian people and military personnel welcomed tremendously to the delegates of our party, who were the close combatants of Cambodian people. In today's meeting and talking in Phnom Penh, Vietnamese Labour Party delegates addressed warm acknowledgement from Vietnam for the valuable aiding and assistance with national reconciliation by the ruling of Communist Party Cambodian people on the 17th of April 1975 and brought peace back to the nation. It has changed essentially. The struggling of people in 3 countries brought an enormous victory. The ground of revolutionary of people within 3 countries in Indochina entered. Under the ruling of warmest congratulated for the glorious victory about visions of the brotherhood of Cambodian people. After the victory, Cambodian people tried to work hard with diligence and braveness. And only a few months after the victory, they had received huge success in expanding as brotherhood about the numerous issues which both parties focused on. Vietnamese delegates and delegates from Cambodia Communist Party entirely agreed. With around 200,000 square meters was being reminded of the historical glorious national building of Cambodia and strong relationship between Vietnamese and Cambodian and to collapse by its way.
ដើម្បីទុកជាអនុស្សាវរីយ៍នៃការជួបជុំសន្ទនាជាប្រវត្តិសាស្ត្រនេះគណៈកម្មាធិការនៃមជ្ឈិមបក្សពលករវៀតណាមបានជូនដល់គណៈកម្មាធិការនៃមជ្ឈិមបក្សកុម្មុយនីសកម្ពុជា
In order to leave souvenir of this historical meeting, Central Committee of Vietnamese Labour Party gave an excellent drawing and a set of classical teacup and a picture decorated by letter, solidarity, relations, combating, and friendship between Vietnamese Labour Party and CPK. Same house. Every hands, while shaking together, attempted to return back to Indochina again. After working together by heart for the grounds of revolutionary to both countries and the world, on the 29th of July 1975, Vietnamese Labour Party delegates said goodbye to comrades with a deep sentiment and a memory of and to maintain the consequences of the revolutionary and try to work and build the lonely nation, rather lovely nation, for friendly relationship. For this great relationship between two nations, we are the Vietnamese communists determined to implement entirely on the valuable message of Ho Chi Minh by trying to use all physical energy and heart to strengthen and expand relationship between Cambodian and Vietnamese, along with Lao people as brotherhood on the basic of equal confidentiality and mutual obedience for common interest for each nation. The President, since it is now appropriate moment for the adjournment, the Chamber will adjourn for 20 minutes. The next session will be resumed by 11 o'clock.